Let's talk now about timing a holding pattern. Now, the holding fix that a holding pattern is based on can be any type of fix that you can identify with your navigation equipment. That holding fix can be a VOR or VORTAC or even a non-directional beacon. The holding fix can be an intersection on an airway, on an approach, a SID, or a star. The holding fix can be an RNAV waypoint, or it can even be a DME fix defined as a radial and a DME distance from a VORTAC station. If you can identify it with your navigation equipment, you can hold there. Now you'll remember that the inbound leg is the leg of the holding pattern where you're flying towards the holding fix. If you do not have RNAV or DME equipment, or a leg length is not specified in miles, you will define the length of your holding pattern in time. When using time, you want to adjust your holding pattern so that the time on the inbound leg is exactly 1 minute, or if you're at altitudes above 14,000 feet, 1.5 minutes. These are the standard leg lengths established by the FAA. So I hear you wondering, how do I get the time of that inbound leg to come out exactly right? Well, you adjust the outbound leg up here as needed in order to keep the inbound leg 1 minute long. Lengthen that outbound leg a little or shorten it a little to keep the inbound leg at 1 minute. If the last inbound leg was only 50 seconds, fly the outbound leg, the next outbound leg, for 1 minute plus 10 seconds. If the last inbound leg was 70 seconds, fly the next outbound leg for 50 seconds. Now, when do you start your time for that outbound leg? Start timing the outbound leg when you are over or abeam the holding fix. You'll be able to tell when you're abeam any type of holding fix, except if you're holding at an intersection and your aircraft is not DME or RNAV equipped. The phrase over or abeam is used because when you first enter a holding pattern with a parallel or a teardrop entry, you begin the entry by flying over the holding fix and then flying outbound. After you've completed the holding pattern entry, you start timing each following outbound leg when you're abeam the holding fix. Now, earlier I mentioned that the abeam position cannot be determined at an intersection without DME or RNAV. If the abeam position cannot be determined, then you start timing when you have completed your turn to the outbound leg. That means you start your timer when you roll wings level on the outbound leg. Now, we looked at examples of approaches like this one that use a holding pattern in place of a procedure turn for course reversal. If you're flying a holding pattern entry as a procedure turn, you've got to complete that holding pattern entry and remain within that 1 minute time limit or any distance specified in the plan and profile view for the inbound leg. If RNAV or DME is required for the approach, the FAA will often put a published leg length on the holding pattern instead of putting a time on it. In this case, which is an RNAV approach, you can see a 5 nautical mile limit in the plan view here and also in the profile view down below. So here you have to complete the holding pattern entry within the published 5 nautical mile leg length.